Hey, good morning. This is a quick demo video, a little bit different from what I normally do because this isn't particularly going to someone at the moment. It's just a saber I have for sale. So instead of addressing a certain person, I am doing this a little differently and just doing a general demo of this Jedi killer that I just finished yesterday. I believe this was made by a guy named Jedi Seth. Apologies if I don't get that correct. If I find out that it's something different, I will post that in the comments. But it's a beautiful hilt. It's a one of one because he designed this himself and built it. There's a lot of different variations of the Jedi killer out there. Phoenix Props makes a really nice one. I know CCSabers recently came out with a version, but this one's a little bit different than all those. So wanted to go over this. It will come with its own stand. Give me a second. Here we go. So it will come with its own stand. It just says Jedi Killer on it. It's pretty cool. So nice for display purposes. Comes with its own blade plug. So this blade plug right here, I'll show you the shine through on this guy when I light it all up. But for right now, I'm just sticking it in there. Now, this is installed with a Proffie 2.2. It's got gesture controls. I did do the accent for the crystal LED and the switch section right here. These are wired independently, but this LED system here and the one for the crystal chamber, they're wired together as an accent. But this has a kind of a blue film over the mesh, so you get what looks like a different, there's a different visual here than you get right here than you get with the blade. So my intention there was to look like you get almost 3 different kinds of visuals when this thing is fired up. So let's get into it. So to open this guy up, this red wire here just pops out of this hole, and then you'll have to take it through this first eye hole right here, just like that. Now you can lock down this piece right here. There is a set screw. There's a small set screw right here to lock it down. I don't do that because it's such a tight press fit that when I actually have to take it like this and kind of, you want to twist it back and forth, but you want to be careful with it and then get it started because this is such a tight fit. It's a 0.99 inch chassis that I had to make for this guy. So everything slides out really nice until about right here. When you get to the speaker, it is tight. So what you want to do is just carefully grab the chassis and the back of the pommel and just kind of work it out. Comes out nice. Every time you do it in and out, it's going to make its way a little bit smoother. I did sand the chassis quite a bit. Here's my chassis for it. It does say CCSabers, that's my company, and I installed it, so I'm gonna shamelessly put my name on it. But so that's the chassis. It's got a removable battery system. The spring side is gonna be the negative. It does have a 24mm bass speaker because that's the only thing that fits in this guy. And then to get to the board, if you wanted to pop the board up from here, you could. What I would suggest doing is loosening this set screw that I put right here. And that's the chassis retention screw. So this guy would pop out a little bit if you felt more comfortable popping your board up that way. But I tried to make it to where you didn't have to do that. And you could I've popped the board up here, messed with my SD card, and then pushed it back down. But the shelf I made for that Proffie board and the SD card sticking out is exactly the width that it needed, or the length that it needed to be. So when popping your card back down into it, you're gonna wanna be careful you don't bend your SD card because like I said, that shelf is made specifically for a Proffie and it's not glued in, it's a press fit in, and it's made to be exactly right. So that's what we've got right there. So let's throw a battery in it. So we're gonna put this on because it has gesture controls. It might fire up when I'm pushing this in because when we put this back over the speaker, it is very snug. So you're gonna wanna be careful doing that. It wants to go in exactly right? There's no room to wiggle. So I got it there without firing it up. Whoops. So then again, when you get to this point right here and you want to push this part in, it's a very tight press fit. I did not sand it down to make it easier because I liked the fact that this was such a tight press fit that I didn't have to use the set screw to hold everything in. It makes it super convenient when taking the battery in and out. And then what I do is I just run that wire back through that eye hole and then just pop it in. Either there's 3 different holes to choose from. You could put that wire wherever you wanted to. So I mean, if we wanted to take that wire out and say you liked it better in the middle hole right there, I mean, you could put it there wherever you wanted to put it, right? So when we fire this guy up, we could use the activation button, which is going to be this guy right here. So this is your activation and this is your auxiliary. So if we want to use activation, when you see your blade plug. Now on some of these fonts I've got, I think this is a fire font, but some of these fonts I do have the crystal LED mimicking the blade. But because I've got that blue film in there, you're gonna get a different visual here than you did here. And then of course, it's gonna be different than it is here too as well, right? So I turn this off and explain this a little bit. So this mesh right here, this little mesh piece was very small in width. Wasn't really designed to hold a neopixel strip. I've got a set of 4 neopixels in there. If you look closely here, you can see on the neopixel strips, they have positive, on the positive side, they have resistors on each strip. So what I did was I dremeled these little slots in the side of this switch guide so that no metal would be touching those resistors, so it wouldn't short that way. And then also when you turn it on, you get that extra effect there as well. And then I went through and painted that black. Turn it off real quick. I went through and I painted everything, all those resistors black, so it kind of blended into the actual saber. And this saber is meant to be kind of a beat up piece, looking like, you know, it was thrown together. It's just real gnarly looking. So here's an example of, I've got a red unstable blade effect, but then I put a rainbow effect on the crystal chamber. So you're gonna get the rainbow effect on the crystal chamber. You'll see that on the side here of the switch piece, but then it's just always gonna be a little bit off because of that blue film here, so it gives a different appearance. And then we'll turn it off. We could use the controls, or we could use gesture controls, swing on and twist off, just like that. So I'll throw a blade in it real quick. This just pops out. This is loose like a blade plug should be, but it doesn't fall out, so you don't have to use the blade retention screw. You do have CCSabers LED pixels in here, just like that. So I like to use these guys. Carl Chen recently came out with these. I just really like them. So for the price, you can't beat them either. I've got a test blade here. I'm gonna throw my test blade in. And for testing purposes here, I will go ahead and tighten up the blade retention screw. And I'll show you where that's at. Blade retention screws right here. So as you can see, right, this is a red unstable blade effect, but you've got your rainbow, kind of a rainbow cycling through your crystal LED. You'll see that on the side of the switches, but then when you get to up here, it's just a different feel. And then we'll cycle through. These are just the stock fonts. So on the stock fonts, I left everything the same. Now you're gonna get the blue effect here because it has a blue film over it, and this is a blue blade. Here's more of like a fire blade. just a solid red blade, but then you can see how the switch looks a little different, right? You could program these however you wanted, but of course, but I've just wanted to play around with them a little bit. That one's pretty cool. We'll go through a few of these. Another one.
Smooth Jedi.
Nice crystal chamber. Of course, so you take the auxiliary button and you tap it for your blaster deflex, or hold it down for blade lockup. We'll just make our way back to the beginning. Right here. Just like that. And I just personally like the twist off feature, and then gave a little bit of a pre-off effect there on the blade, but did not do so on the crystal chamber on that particular sound font. So that is the Jedi Killer. This thing is hefty, so you can see when I'm holding it in my hand, right? You can see how big it is, and then also too, this thing weighs a ton. It does have a full-length brass chassis sleeve. So if you were to leave this piece on from where we took it out before and unscrewed this screw right here, then everything from here over slides off, and you have that, you can almost, I mean, you can see the brass sleeve in there, and this is the tip of the end of the brass sleeve. So this slides off, and this brass sleeve encloses the entire chassis. But of course, you can't get to the battery that way. So that is the Jedi Killer. Thanks for watching.